Hello everyone, my name is Danish Buns. Welcome back to a game that I'm going to be talking about. Obviously that really should be clear from the fact that I'm talking and there's a game in the background. Anyways, welcome back to another game of How Not to Play Starcraft 2. Of course, one day I dream of making this show called How to Play because I dream of being not terrible. But we all have dreams, and they generally don't come true. Today, I will be facing off against a Zerg by the name of Awesome. Now, he is pretty awesome with what he does in this game, so I'm excited to bring it to you. I'm excited to show it to you. And I'm excited just to be talking to myself again. Anywho, really, when it comes to Heart of the Swarm so far, I have to say that I'm really enjoying myself. I've noticed a peak in the number of Zerg players. So I don't know if people are just really interested in Zerg just due to the fact that the campaign was purely Zerg. That's probably one of the major reasons, but what I will say is it's nice to see a lot of people trying out new races, trying out the game for some of them just right off the bat, and I'm glad to see people are enjoying themselves. We're all out to get better, so today I aim at demonstrating how I am trying to get better and still just not achieving it. I'm sure other people could achieve it, but I am just not. Spawning pool goes down. As you can see, I haven't supply blocked myself yet, which is pretty good of an achievement right there. Alright, our opponent has already had his spawning pool out for a second. I'm just walking through, scouting out the base, making sure nothing silly is going on, but really nothing too intense is happening. As you can see, I'm mining a little bit more as well, but that's just due to the fact that I'm spamming my keyboard, hoping that I will actually gain an advantage by gathering those 60 minerals faster than my opponent. Drones are having a little bit of a slap fest right there, really not going to achieve anything. I've got Overlords spread out, and my opponent, Mr. Awesome, also has his Overlords spread out. So we really both have very decent map control. We're actually, I'd like to say we're pretty even in terms of our ability to play this game. So this game is actually one of the more interesting games. Now, as you can see, my queen is out as well as some zerglings, so I can gain some more map control. Drones are slapping it out, really, and then they both split. They're both like, alright, Danish, I'm done. That was too much you asked me to do. And the zerglings just pop him back. He was going in for round 2. Zerglings were like, nah, sorry friend, that's not happening. Overlord scouting out my base right now. As you can see, I'm actually beating my opponent in terms of number of drones. That means my income is going to be slightly higher, making me feel better in terms of just general self-esteem. My opponent did manage to expand earlier than I did, though, so we're going to see them hopefully get that base mining properly so that they can actually be able to defeat whatever I throw their way, which honestly won't be much. Anyways, still mining, still doing everything great, hoarding tons of minerals. What you're going to see is actually I've started to use a pretty basic build that involves me pumping out just an incessant amount of roaches. So try and watch in terms of the time when I actually get these items in case you're interested in trying to emulate this play. It actually is pretty useful, but it does take some practice and it does require you to be slightly more than incompetent. I'd say around mediocre. If you guys can hit mediocre, you're basically at my level. Anyways, this is actually a little delayed. That should have been popped up by now. I really should be pumping out more overlords, pumping out more drones, and you can see a small transfer is actually going down. A zergling trying to get in. He's not going to achieve much. And as you can see in the units lost tab, it's pretty much even. Nothing's really been traded. Lost a couple zerglings, I believe, over here, but other than that, nothing too serious has gone down. Popping out 2 spine crawlers right there, just to prevent any sort of harassment coming at my front. I'm actually planning to move them over here when I get an evo chamber, drop an evo chamber down right there, get my spine crawlers down right here, so actually make a sort of half wall, forcing those units to go and attack this way if my opponent goes for ground. As we can see, he's droning up as well. He's actually gathering gas from one geyser. Not really doing anything in terms of any sort of early assault. We're both really just macroing up quite aggressively, trying to get our bases up to max. capacity. As you can see, my opponent has actually managed to catch up with me in terms of how much he's mining. Now, I am going to be mining a little bit more gas than he is, but that doesn't really change anything. Honestly, nothing too significant is going to happen for the next couple minutes, but just bear with me. Queen is being heroic, trying to take out that Overlord. Not going to be able to. Overlord is too fast, too sneaky. Got an extra queen just for defense. I'm worried that perhaps my opponent is going to do some sort of trivial air attack. That could be pretty effective, honestly, if they manage to get that out properly. Queen spent a little too much time just standing around there. Really should have spat all over that hive as soon as possible. I'm really working hard to get my drones fully mining. Make sure both these bases are fully mined out. I'm actually getting another Evo chamber and a Roach Warren. And actually, right here, I actually missed. There's a gap right there. I don't know if you can see that. Zerglings can easily get through that, but, you know, if he attacks me with anything other than the Zerg's very core unit, I'm fine, I'm safe, it's going to be alright. Nothing too serious is going to happen. Silly drone just sitting out here, not doing anything. Let's actually check army supply. It's pretty intense. There's a lot of intensity to this engagement right now. I'm actually going to be going for early attack. Get that attack. Oh, I guess you wouldn't really call it too early, but I'm going to be going for attack and carapace, so I'm actually going to have some ranged and some melee. Our opponent right now, interesting. He actually is going for a Spire. He's going for a Spire, guys. So you know what that means, right? I am not going air. I am going Roach. He's going Spire. That usually means he's going to be pumping out a ton of Mutalisks. Oh my goodness, Danish. What are we going to see here? Mutalisks are not very good against Roaches. Roaches are definitely not good against Mutalisks. What does that mean? What does this all mean? Guys, it means that we're about to see one of the most intense engagements you will ever see in about 30 minutes. If you could, like, look to another video within this 30-minute time span that I'm giving you, this will be the most intense thing you've seen. Unless you live somewhere where violence is in constant, massive quantities, then probably this is just how you relax. And in that case, you know, I'm not trying to make your life seem less awesome or less terrible. Okay, I'm just gonna not get sidetracked and get back to explaining what the hell is going on. Mining out this base, mining out this base. It's not at max capacity, but it's enough to maintain my ability to pump out just so many roaches, just a disgusting amount. My opponent is actually going to fly over and see my roaches and go for that third expansion. So I actually really like this play. He's actually getting his third down. He's got his Spire out, and he's getting some armor for his Mutalisks, and just he's building his army right now. He's building his army of Mutalisks. It's really going to be quite intimidating. My queens aren't strong enough, and for some reason I haven't connected my two bases, which is really not good whatsoever. There really should be creep right here. And Mutalisks moving out for an attack. Now, I actually have no idea this attack is coming, so let's just sit down and look at the units lost tab, guys. Alright. Queen's under attack. Of course, they attack the queen with so much energy and not the queen with basically zero energy. I lose that queen. I'm going to lose my other queen as well. And I decide, you know what? It's time to attack. It's time to use these roaches. Going to move out with those roaches. Going to build some spore crawlers. Oop. And I'm just going to let these drones sit here because, you know what? They're the hero drones. They're not doing anything too serious. Ooh, Danish Buns, you are quite the fellow. Wiping through those Zerglings like it was nothing. I'm actually just going to walk into this base, basically, take out that spine crawler before it makes too much of a hassle, and just continue to destroy everything. Beautiful, really beautiful work by those roaches. At the same time, one Mutalisk dealing a lot of damage. Now, he's actually pulling all of his Mutalisks back to try and stop me. But at this point, I don't think I'm at 1-1. I don't actually know if I'm upgrading to 2-2. I haven't upgraded to 2-2. I really should have. But I am dealing a heck of a lot of damage. I am taking out so many workers. It is ridiculous. Look at that. 25, 27 workers killed. Just doing an incessant amount of damage. I'm actually going to take down his Spire as well, and then take out his spawning pool. He's actually still mining from one base, so it's not like he's totally out of the game. but he really doesn't have much. Now, as for me, I've lost a lot. I'm actually trying to pump out a queen to deal with this Mutalisk, but that Mutalisk is actually dealing a fair bit of damage. My roaches are going to keep going, keep trying to deal some damage to actually leave my opponent just scattered, unable to actually come back. Queen is popping out. Spore Crawler has landed. I'm going to take out that Mutalisk. And over here, I'm just going to continue to take out those workers. 45 workers killed. Dealt so much damage there. I'm actually going to finish off this hive as well. If you notice, he's really desperately trying to expand. But those roaches are finally going to get cleaned up. And now he's just got a massive Mutalisk army to try and deal with the remnants of my base. So basically, I have nothing to combat this. I have a couple Spore Crawlers popping out. Some more Spore Crawlers down here. And some more queens. I'm desperately trying to spit all over my bases just so that I don't die immediately. While my opponent is really hoping that he can hold me back with these Mutalisks and prevent my expansion from occurring. Or not even my expansion, just my ability to attack him. Now he's actually going to clean up the majority of these queens. I have no idea why I walked them away. Maybe they just got scared, guys. Maybe they were just too nervous, couldn't deal with the fact that they were getting quite obliterated. Spore Crawler's dealing a lot of damage to these Mutalisks, but he's actually going to manage to clean up that lair. It is alright because I have a fair amount of roaches. I actually haven't upgraded to 2-2 yet, which is a big mistake on my part. And for some reason, I missed the fact that there's creep here. I just totally ignore the fact that there's creep here. I just continue walking, going about my own business, really expecting nothing to occur. Now, these roaches are going to be strong enough to deal with whatever comes really my way. Mutalisks are going to try and do their best to stop me, but at this point, my roaches are just too strong compared to 0-0 Zerglings. Or 1-0 Zerglings, still not enough really. Gonna clean up that expansion, gonna finally attack this expansion. And just leave my opponent begging for mercy. He's crying at this point, he's just emotionally distraught, hoping that by supply blocking me, somehow he can defeat me. I'm continuing to use my roaches to clean up, just checking all over the map, making sure I have everything dealt with. He's actually sent a Zergling here, which was pretty smart by him. That Zergling is actually going to prevent any sort of expansion that I try and do down there because it's going to kill my drone as I try and go there. For one, Mutalisk is not going to deal nearly enough damage to wipe me out. I'm actually now going through his base, trying to clean up the rest of his items. I want to say items, but I know that's completely wrong. Buildings. Run away from that. Destroy the extractor. Just going to casually go through and destroy everything. For some reason, I left this thing bleeding out. He's actually going after my lair right now. None of my Spore Crawlers are in the correct positioning to actually deal with this, but it really doesn't matter at this point since I'm sort of supply blocked and my drones are not mining whatsoever. My income, yeah, that's my income right there. But it's actually alright. I'm going to attack his spawning pool. He can't spawn any units himself. Attack his lair. Clean up this extractor. Got a couple roaches here just relaxing. And victory! Danish Buns! Now I know that wasn't... I hope that was exhilarating. It was exhilarating for me. I actually sat there for a second and actually just patted myself on the back because I felt like I achieved something there. You know, my roaches were 1-1, which is not the best. They should have been 2-2. And I basically lost 7 or 8 queens. But as you can see in the units lost tab, his Mutalisks were not a good enough match for my mass roach, and I was able to defeat him. Alright guys, that's it for me. My name is Danish Buns, and I will see you next time.